Hi. A lot of people have been emailing me, asking me about gardening questions and so forth, but they've had a bit of a dilemma where they've been in an apartment or a flat or somewhere with no garden. So I do get a lot of emails about container gardening, especially herbs. A lot of people don't want to have huge pots or thousands of pots with vegetables in them, but would like to actually grow some herbs at home. So I thought I'd do a bit of a series. I did the container gardening series, the first one on the bay tree. I'm going to keep that going. Today I'm going to plant a rosemary bush. Now rosemary can grow quite big. Like the biggest one I've seen would probably be yay high by about so wide. You can get different kinds of rosemaries as well. You can get regular rosemary, blue rosemary, prostrate rosemary, so it's a ground cover, all kinds. So this is just your regular common garden rosemary. Now I actually had this, it was only about so big when I got it, and I potted it up. Now it's got to a good size now, so it's actually too big for this one, so I'm going to repot it, and I've got a good sized pot here, and I'll go over the process of what I actually do. Alright, cool. So I've got my pot, good sized pot, probably about 400ml by about 400ml, so a good sized pot. Now a lot of people do put screenings, rocks, rubble, stuff like that for drainage in the bottom of pots. I don't, myself, I just pot things straight up. But what I've done in this one, I've just chucked some leaves and some pea straw that I had from when I was doing the other garden lying around, just to add a little bit of nutrients into the soil and just to bulk it out a little bit. Alright, so I've got my rosemary. Now all I'll do, I'll just grab this. Now this is a mix of potting mix and garden compost, so I've got a bit of both in there, so it's about half and half. Half potting mix, half garden compost. I find that garden or potting mix itself is a bit too free draining. Like that's good, but I like to have a bit of bulk in it as well, so that's why I've added the compost to it. So at the base of this, I'll add some of this, just a layer, a few handfuls. Alright. Alright, so that's on the bottom. Now the easiest thing to do, grab your original pot, put it in, and check the levels. So make sure if it's too high, take a bit out. If it's too low, add a bit more in. So that's about where I want it. I want it about an inch from the actual lip of this for watering and feeding, etc. We don't want it all to run off. And that's going to give it enough room for the root system too. Alright, now we'll get it out of this. So just give it a, I can feel this is just going to come straight out. Alright. So there you go. You can see all the root system there. I'm repotting it at the right time. So if you take something out of the pot and it's pot bound, all of the roots are spinning round and round. They haven't got room to go anywhere. Just get your secateurs and just slash it. It doesn't matter. With certain things you shouldn't, like natives and olive trees, stuff like that, that don't like their roots to be messed with. But something like this, if it is pot bound, just tease it out a bit. This one's fine, so I'll chuck the rest of that in there that was in the pot. Give it a good stir around. Alright, try it again. Now that's a bit low. Alright, so I'll add a bit more of this. Double one. Alright, and that should be right. Yeah, that's cool, that's what I want. Alright, so just place it nice and central, alright? And then we'll just backfill it from there. It can be, don't worry if you get any on the plant. We'll pack all that down in a sec. Now, I'm just going to have just enough. Alright, now just spread it around. Make sure none of the branches are actually buried by it because we don't want them to rot. Clear it away from the main stem. Twist around, pack it down. We don't want any air bubbles or anything in there. Alright, that's good. And give it a few taps. Alright. And there you go. Easy. So this container gardening video for rosemary, I guess, is also one for repotting stuff as well. Bit of a double purpose. All I'll do now, I'll just give it a feed with a pelleted organic food that I've got. Pardon me, that I've got. I'll throw a little bit of that just around, give it a good water in, and that's it. Now rosemary is one of those things, like I was saying, can grow quite big, but you can keep it cut fairly short. This probably stay in this pot for indefinitely if you really want to keep it in here. In winter, in the next couple of months, I'll be pruning everything back, especially my herbs. So I'll show you how I'm going to prune this. I'll basically take about a good third off it and cut it right back, and next spring it'll just pop back up again. When you reduce the size of something, it forces it out, so it actually stems out more and becomes bushier, so you get more of the product, because you want the produce itself, because it's the leaves that you actually want. And it also reduces the size of the plant, obviously, so that reduces the amount of root system that it generally puts out, so it adapts itself to being into the pot. It doesn't become pot bound. Cool. Now I'll feed it, give it a water, and that'll be it. Nice. Also with this rosemary, just quickly, you can see some of the stems are quite long, like it's just a very tall growing one. So if you want to, you can actually let it grow to about so tall and then prune it back, and then strip all the leaves off and use them, of course, and the stems you can actually use for kebabs if you want to. They make nice skewers for those type of things. Cool. Alright, any questions, give me a yell. I'm going to go over the next few weeks and do a few more herbs and different things in pots, just for people, like everyone's been writing to me asking about it because they live in a flat or an apartment, or they only have a balcony or what have you. So it's really just down to your imagination. You don't have to have a massive garden and produce your own produce sometimes. You can just have it in pots. Cool. Alright, any questions about repotting stuff or rosemary or container gardening, just give me a yell. Alright, thanks. I'll see you soon.